Okay. And we're back with a very delayed yet exciting, I think that's the right term, episode
Yeah.
where it's an update on Jung In, where the don't want to call them parents, don't want to call them adults,
They're not really human either, I don't think.
where these perras are finally, finally awaiting trial.
It's a long time coming. It's like if only they caught it sooner. That they were they're all kinds of stupid. I don't know what else to say because I don't want to sound bad, but the frustration's there without me saying much.
The, the adoptive mother was charged with child abuse resulting in death, emotional abuse, and neglect, while the husband was charged with child abuse and neglect. I
You know, I'm happy the mom got it first. She's more to blame, but dad, the dad in this case,
mhm.
like looking back on what we talked about previously, where was the dad in all of this and how slash why was he okay with this happening?
Because it's crazy.
Because looking back on it, one of the allegations against the dad, I don't know who said that it was okay for this to be something like, oh, okay, dude, you passed, it's fine, it's not that bad. I massaged her a little too hard.
Now, I I've heard of different massaging techniques in Asia. None, I repeat, none end up with bruises that come from a boxing match, basically.
And this is someone that's half, maybe like a quarter of an adult size. These are my adult thumbs, which if I look at them, I'm gonna say they're kind of like child thumbs. But still, thumbs like this on an arm, or like let's pretend this is the baby's leg. This is like medium pressure. Okay, that's fine. But enough that there's a bruise. If I massage deep, like this hurts, there's no bruise. How do you massage to the point where you see a black mark?
I I don't
No.
think he was using this. I think he was using this, or this with an excessive amount of pressure.
All I'm gonna say is that was not a massage. And for the mom too, I think with updates that have come out, the mom said that sometimes because the baby was abused, poor little Jungin was like hurt, but there was days where she wouldn't eat because the child was in pain. And if someone's in pain, the last thing they want to do is eat because it'll contribute to more pain. She would get angry and hit Jung In because she wouldn't eat. But what is the cause for her not eating? Pain. Pain inflicted by who? The mother. Also, their 4-year-old biological daughter. I feel sorry for her, but at the same time, I'm like, she had to have known. She's 4 years old. She had to have seen something, but of course, they're not going to try her for her age in court. Oh,
I am a firm believer that just like with cars and guns and any political seat of power, people should have a background check and then a trial period where you have a like a doll that you have to carry around for, let's say, 6 months
Mhm.
and the doll has like all the features, crying, all the stuff that would trigger a piece of shit.
They do that in high school, like where you have to either carry around a fake baby that's weighted, or I think in some cases a sack of flour. They should do that for adoptive parents.
Or anyone who's thinking of having a kid.
At least if they put out frustration, they can put it out on the doll.
Or just take anger management classes, take boxing.
That's true. Yeah, that brings up the point of like, should they be doing psychological tests on like prospective parents? I feel like that's necessary in a way. It's like, yeah, like you look able and fit to take care of a child, but up here, are you mentally and physically capable of taking care of another life, especially one that has not fully developed yet?
I just I hope that they get the longest sentence there is. The
I've heard things
longest.
about the death penalty, but that apparently rarely ever happens in Korea. So I don't know what's next to that. But still, I agree with everyone that was protesting and to anyone that is now taking light of this as well. I've seen other people talk about this case now because it's been a global thing where literally the system is failing children. And by the system, I mean Child Protective Services.
Hmm.
Them saying that they can't do enough or there's not much they can do in their position. Like you're working for something called Child Protective Services. Where's the second part? The protection part.
And and speaking of, there's another story that I wanted to cover. I won't touch too much on it now because that would, yeah. But there's a famous, infamous, that's a better word, um, child predator in Korea who just got released, and he went back into the same town. This was still in Korea. He went back in the same town where his victim lived.
Why?
I don't know.
Wait, so he committed a crime in the town, and I'm guessing in this case the victim has since passed, had to be taken away, and he went back to the same place.
I'm pretty sure it's the same place. It's been like 3 months since I've seen the video, but yeah, like people were protesting and everything.
I'm trying to think what the motive or reason of that is. Like, is there unfinished business you think you have there? But also to whoever's living there, if y'all know what happened in your village, you're gonna do any and everything in your power to keep them away.
I I think I heard that the family was going to move, like just
You should just move out of the country for their own safety. Move out of the country so that no one knows who you are.
maybe just don't come to America because we're, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I mean, Canada's open. We'll take care of people in cases like that, but
They have great food.
yeah, we have good healthcare too for the most part. While the perpendicular happenings, I've been calling the pandemic so many different things now. Yeah, healthcare, got it. We have mostly good people, as I say that slowly, depending where.
I
Yeah,
that goes for every country in the goddamn world.
yeah,
Mostly good people.
mostly depends where and who you're talking to.
Florida.
Yep. Um, I'm not
Man,
gonna say.
I I want to go to Florida, but like at the same time, you guys have crocodiles that just roam the streets like it's the freaking Amazon.
Well, no, okay. Where would you rather go, Florida or Australia? You have to choose.
Florida,
In Florida.
Florida is like our small Australia in that we have iguanas there, pythons, anacondas, crocodiles,
But unlike Australia, which
meth heads.
I feel like methods you can find in any part of the globe. But just seeing pictures in Australia, there's this one celebrity I follow. She was in her hotel washroom, okay? A hotel, probably up on whatever floor in the air, and found a 2 foot spider in her shower. How and where does that come from if you're in a hotel?
See, I was going to say I'll bathe in the beach. They have jellyfish there.
But if she's on like the 10th floor and you see the itsy bitsy, not itsy bitsy, the bitsy spider that's the size of maybe half of you, you
Look,
know.
I'm just going to say this. People should not be surprised if there is a spontaneous fire, because I will burn the whole hotel down. If people can tell that this is a joke, you might want to leave.
Hope everyone that has wildfires going on that you're safe and you're protected and out of danger. I don't know if those are still happening in California and Australia, but thinking back just last year, like a year ago now, January was the worst month in 2020 before the pandemic started, where wildfires, typhoons were happening everywhere. People notably were dying. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant and
Mm,
Gigi.
why? Oh, and also rest in peace to the king, Chadwick Boseman. Uh,
Oh, speaking of King, just recently, Larry King,
oh yeah.
my dude, Grandpa King. What
On
were we
a
talking about? Why are we talking about that again? Back on that.
on a on a upside, since I mentioned Chadwick Boseman, um, they're planning on making a Wakanda series on Disney Plus that's based around the country of Wakanda, and because in the Black Panther film it was mostly around guess who, the Black Panther, and not much on just the culture and stuff.
Hmm.
Tell me why people are upset that Chadwick Boseman isn't going to be in it, so they don't think it's going to be as good. It's supposed to be
Friend
like
saying that.
it's supposed to be like a cultural thing to show
Hmm.
like the culture and people of the country.
And this is inspired because of Chadwick Boseman and the legacy that he left on the Black Panther franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that like they're doing it because he's gone. They're doing it because maybe part of that, but also that they want to honor his legacy for that franchise by showing the world in which like his character lived.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Avatar. Avatar was one of the biggest movies at the
Mm.
time, and I think they did some kind of mini documentary of what that whole world looked like.
Yeah.
Like it was more focused on the Avatar people themselves, but they looked into the entire world, which looks really sick. I think there's a way that you can go into an immersive version of that. When things open up, I would love to go see that.
Oh yeah.
That movie, that was pretty cool. Although the Avatar figures themselves were a little freaky.
If
Yeah, these people are a little freaky.
if if anything, the Wakanda series should ease. It will be an easier way to slide into the sequel to Black Panther, because if they just went through the first to second one, it'll be hard
Hmm.
for obvious reasons.
Like I find more people getting mad that they're replacing by making a part two without Chadwick Boseman over the series that they're doing of the Wakanda country or culture.
They actually said that they're not going to replace him,
Good,
that they're going to do something different.
good, because I see more outrage towards that, which is not going to be good.
Although, I will say, if the time comes for the mantle to be passed, give it to his sister.
Oh, yeah.
Give it to his sister.
Did she ask? I don't know.
Um, well, I mean, like in the film, give it to the Black Panther's sister,
Okay.
because that's
Wait,
in
sure.
the yeah in the comics, she gets the mantle. So
I mean, they can continue it on from there. It's like it's another part of the family, pretty much. They're
mhm.
telling another story perspective. That wouldn't be a bad idea. I could see that. And like, we could use another female superhero as well. Not that, like, the new movie for Superwoman, have not watched that yet, but I've heard a lot of mixed things about it. Some
Mm.
good, some bad, some just, yeah, it's
Ooh,
very interesting. Takes,
speaking speaking of female superheroes, there's this film coming out, God knows when, called uh, Miss Marvel.
oh, yeah, I saw that.
I am so hyped.
There's a lot of Marvel movies coming out.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think, have you finished WandaVision yet?
Um,
Oh, wait, no,
I
they're still releasing. Okay. Okay.
the next episode drops on Friday,
Okay.
and I kid you not, the amount of theorizing my brain has done in the past month is more than I've done my entire life.
Yeah, I need to hop on and watch that to start off because I am continually trying to look for other things while I'm waiting on the new episodes for This Is Us, which is coming out, I believe, next week or tomorrow. I need to double check, but well, if you want to cry, if you want a feel good thing to make you cry, but in a good way and teach you about life, This Is Us. I watched it within a month and I caught up. And my mind is still like, I don't want this to end because they're only doing one more season.
All I all I have to say about WandaVision, if you haven't seen Infinity War and Endgame, I would not watch it,
Okay, then maybe I won't.
because there's
Oh, okay.
the whole premise is, without spoiling it, Wanda is trying to run away from her emotions.
In a way, who isn't doing that at times when like a lot of shit is happening? Okay, I'll keep note of that.
especially
Like,
in especially in the latest episode.
mhm.
For those who have seen it, oh yeah,
There's a lot of things I need to watch, and I keep saying I should write down a list. I think now I seriously need to have a list of things I need to watch. There's so many things are coming out, and it's like what order and what should I prioritize watching? Like one show that some people are trying to really like and talk about is Bridgerton on Netflix.
I have no clue what that is.
Let's just say from what I see in the trailer, British people, scandalous romance, possibly arranged marriage, gossip, and sexual tension. Yeah.
So Game of Thrones
No, 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 no,
without the
no, 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 no,
fantasy.
no, no, no. No incest is happening in Bridgerton, but then again, I don't know. From what I understand, there is none, so not quite Game of Thrones, because no one dies. No one's fighting for the death at all.
I have to say fuck that show because every time I got a new favorite character, either they slept with someone that was not me, or they got killed immediately.
Yeah, I can't. I could never have watched that, but I like the theme of like medieval times that it has. I don't care about like the incest or whatever, because like okay, that's in some movies, sadly, but it goes with the storyline. It's the gore and like the fighting and the beheading that I'm like, mm-mm, I can't really stomach that.
Then you
But I cannot.
then you probably wouldn't like the Lord of the Rings.
No, that I could handle. That wasn't bad. But something about Game of Thrones with how all the violent and gory scenes,
I
mm,
I
not my
I think they captured like I think they did it like that to capture how like brutal it was back then.
oh yeah, for sure.
Because if you fight with gigantic swords, things are going to fall out.
It's like, you want to fight, bro? You want to come at me? This big ass sword is coming out from the side. Uh,
I will never get over the red wedding episode.
See, that's another thing. I read and saw things. Didn't well at that point didn't fully get into it, but I'm like, yeah, no. I felt like, oh, cute, red wedding, like it's their theme. And then I realized what it meant. I'm like, well, that changes the excitement I thought for that episode.
I
When they say red, there was red
as soon as
everywhere.
as soon as I saw that episode, I turned it off and just watched Friends.
I'll be there for you.
If if people don't know that song, they're too young for me.
See, I got into Friends a little bit, but then when I heard it was not going to be on Netflix anymore, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just stick with how it is. But visiting the set, if you ever go to Universal Studios and you see the set for Friends in Los Angeles, it's pretty cool. And you get to go to Central Perk. I got like, I don't think it was a drink from the show, but it was inspired by it. It was a caramel milkshake. Pretty good. Yeah, Friends is always a good show next to The Office as well. That I briefly got into, and it's really funny, but a big loophole of episodes you'll get lost in.
I've I just got out of a show where I almost got lost in. and it was a show that I probably should have finished ages ago, but Naruto Shippuden should have finished that in 2015. There's so many goddamn episodes. Why does it have to be that many?
What show was it?
Naruto Shippuden. There's
Oh,
so many episodes.
yeah. See, anime is another one of those things where it's like I might have watched a few episodes of different series here and there, but not enough that like I'll watch hundreds of episodes. Which, if you're that type of person, props to you. But also, um, this is gonna probably sound really bad. How and why? Because I understand the fascination, the fandom behind it, but I'm like, dude, I can only watch maybe one or two seasons in a night, and that's let's say around 30 episodes. But for one season to be 100 episodes and there's like 7 seasons, I don't know about that.
I can I can only
What?
I can only watch an entire season in one night if I'm invested in the show. If I don't care about the characters, I don't care.
What's your minimum? Like, what's the minimum number of episodes you need to watch in order to know like you're hooked on that series? Five?
5.
For me, it takes like three, 2 or 3, give or take, depending on what it is. Like one of
Now,
the shows that I'm really trying to get into, mainly because it's Canadian, is Schitt's Creek. I went to episode 2 and I'm like, I don't understand it, but I feel like it's my obligation in a way to like it because it's filmed partially in my country. I don't know. I'm trying. I may return back to it, but one show that I really want to watch, which I know, well, our friend really loves watching it and has just finished the series, Bling Empire.
mm,
Uh, People said there's the Kardashians, and then there's this family.
oh boy, oh boy.
Like, I don't think they're super obnoxious or petty in a way, but like the amount of money is like they're stupid rich. Stupid rich to the point where it's like if one step in their closet, any brand that you see is like there's no such thing as a mall in their case. It's like it's there. But the drama with each character, I am very excited to see. Plus, there's a baby. Put a baby in a series with a bunch of crazy people. God help the child, but like that makes an interesting series.
So if the Kardashians and Modern Family mixed,
Yes,
that's it.
yeah, that's pretty accurate. I would say so. Let me see what the family's name is because like, I think they've had another series, but they've done this one now with Netflix. Uh, well, there's different parts of the family, but I think with this family, by their last name, they're based in LA, and there's I think someone who married into the family, and they have a child. Plus, there's grandma. Plus, there's the other siblings. We go through all kinds of relationship and just reality drama, pretty much. But it's like you add money on top of that.
One show
I
that I
think
just one show that I just could not get into is Stranger Things.
you know, with that one, I found interesting, but it took a while for me to get into. Like season 1, it took the end of the first season where I'm like, okay, that actually wasn't bad. Season 2 is better. Season 2 is way better. Season 3, I think I watched the first season, but I haven't. Well, first episode of that, I have not finished.
I I almost got chewed out by some of my friends because in the two new um, It films, everyone was going, "Oh my god, some people from the Stranger Things are in there," and I'm like, "Yay, clown!"
People watch it just because they saw the one boy in there. There's
I
other people who wanted to see the killer clown.
yeah, that was me. It's like I don't care about those people. I want to see how creepy the clown is.
And then there's little Georgie. Rest in peace, little Georgie.
I still have to say, I know he's a kid. Why the fuck do you talk to a creepy clown in the sewer? I don't care if he has your boat. Why? Your your parents have failed you.
But also, who lets the child just run out in the rain? Like the brother was there and he knew. Did you think to tell your parents that your little brother is gonna go run down the street in the pouring rain?
Well, one thing about the clown, he kind of had control over the whole, all
That's
of, like he had control over all of the adults.
yeah.
Because in the first one, there was a woman watching him and just like, oh, okay, it's fine, okay.
Like all the kids. That's it. Mm. Then
And
the
it,
second movie. Mhm.
the fun fact, the adult actors who were portraying the kids had to ask the kid actors how to portray the characters.
I can see that, but it's also funny because they're more experienced in a way, but because the kids came first, they've already set the standard for how the characters are. So
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense why they would want to learn from them. Whereas in most cases, like the kids want to learn from the adults because they are more established in the industry. That's interesting.
I will say, seeing the second film in theaters, that hit a bit differently.
How do you watch something like that in the theaters? I have to watch it at home. I would never watch.
That was my that was my first time. No, sorry, I was about to say that was my first time seeing a horror film in theaters. That was my second time.
What was the first one?
The Conjuring 2.
Ah,
The Conjuring 2.
what were you more freaked out by? The Conjuring or it?
uh, I
You're
think
watching in the theater.
I think it.
Really?
Well, I was with I was with my girlfriend at at the time, so it kind of like
Oh, okay.
softened the blow. But with it, I was there by myself.
No, I feel like just personally, The Conjuring is more scarier than it. Like I'm not usually a fan of horror stuff, but it didn't scare me as much. But the one movie that I feel like most people would be like, what the fuck, or like just weirded out slash scared by Hereditary,
Mm,
which I've watched twice, and I the first time I was creeped out, but then I laughed again.
mm.
Second time, I'm like, okay, I know what to expect. I still laugh.
One,
It's so messed up. Minus that one scene for whoever hasn't watched it, the little sister. That I didn't laugh at. That was a little. That was a lot. Everything else was pretty funny.
the one film that still doesn't
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
it doesn't creep me out as much. For those of you who have Amazon Prime, go on there, watch Midsummer.
Oh my god.
Do not watch it with your parents.
Maybe don't watch it alone either, I feel like. Yeah, I would say maybe don't watch that alone.
I'm that like just further ensued my um distaste for traveling, and I for those of you who have seen it, fuck bears. And that being said, is that like a fuck you to me since my whole brain is based around bears?
Well, no, you said bears, not bear. So there's a difference. There's a difference between them.
I was actually told I have um a furry name. Uh, screw you to the person who said that.
I'm like, do we want to go into this or should we move on to something else?
I went onto a Twitch stream with that name,
And
and the streamer said, "Oh, he has a furry name," and
how?
and,
No.
and I'm like, all right, well, can't cancel my subscription, so okay.
See, one would only know that that's a furry name if they know a little bit about that world.
It's like don't hate me because I have a kawaii name,
Oh,
man.
there's a
Eating,
lot of people I see on Twitch now too.
huh?
There's lots of people I see moving onto Twitch, which I know is basically what your branding was. It still sort of is, but more people from YouTube are now hopping into that space as well.
It's it's because YouTube is so damn constricting now.
That is true.
Like um who was that YouTuber? Um oh yeah, the YouTube channel The Real Rejects got hit with a copyright strike because they hummed Tom Cruise's name in the tune of the Mission Impossible theme by like multiple companies. And YouTube's response was, "Oh, have you tried um appealing it?" Yes, they have.
Every time I hear people say that, I'm just like, really? Really? You looked into it? Or are you just a bot on the website saying this?
And the all the money that they were going to get had to go over to the people who claimed it.
Yeah, I can sympathize for people that like post stuff and they want to appeal it, and most of the time they do deserve it because it wasn't their intention or something might have slipped that went against YouTube's guidelines. But at the same time, it's like other people they really deserve it and they're not getting it. They're not getting the strike and they just get by. It's like, oh, you did that? Okay, I'm not gonna do anything because they didn't catch it, or it only becomes a thing when you see people spamming about it on Twitter.
And it sucks when it's a small channel. Because if you're a big channel like the Real Rejects or, God forbid, like Markiplier, like they're up there, so they can have contacts into YouTube. If someone with less than 1,000 subscribers get hit, who are they going to call?
Not Ghostbusters either, and not YouTube.
It's like, and same can almost be said for Twitch because they banned the words, which kind of good, kind of bad. They banned the words simp, incel, virgin.
Okay.
So I'm almost scared to say simple because what's the start of that word?
You can say simpleton.
And oh yeah, the DMC bullshit.
Yep. Yep. I agree with that.
Which is why
Oh,
I'm I'm thinking once I get a new PC because the one I have is shit.
mhm.
I'm thinking of moving over to Facebook.
Yeah, I'm just learning about like how Twitch works. Is there was someone that I watched on YouTube, but recently they're streaming every other day for like a music thing that they're doing. But now someone like Bretman Rock. Bretman Rock is now on Twitch, and I'm like, I'm sure he's used to the whole environment on YouTube, and maybe that's the reason why he's exploring a different platform because of all the regulations and everything on there. But yeah, I just see more and more people merging and trying different things. Like another, I think, streaming app that some people are using, Clubhouse. Have you heard of that? So I think it's kind of like a social hub where it's like you can stream, but it doesn't necessarily need videos. And it's like Discord pretty much,
Mm.
I would compare it to. But like anyone and everyone has their own like rooms for different topics. I think people like Elon Musk have a whole room where he's just talking, people are listening to him talk about like technology, about him having lots of money, such and such, and that nature. I've heard good and bad things about Clubhouse because stuff happens on there, and it's mostly, I feel like, influencers or public figures.
The three I know of, aside from YouTube, is Twitch, Facebook, and Mixer.
The Mixer, I don't know too much about.
Ooh, speaking of Twitch and streamers, have you heard of Ninja and his whole backlash?
No, what
He,
happened to
he
him?
was in an interview and was asked about like toxic chats and stuff,
Hmm.
and I agree with his stance. He said if it's small kids, it's not his job to teach the kids to not
Oh,
be toxic. It's the parents,
yeah, yeah, I
and
heard
and
that.
some people, Karens, got upset about that because the people that their kids are watching, who's just playing games and earning a living doing that, shouldn't have to be the parent to their kid.
Yeah, that brings me back to like, imagine when we were kids and there was nothing like that before. Not to say
Mm-hmm.
that like comparing apples and oranges because now it's a different time, but
Mm-hmm.
even then, like as a parent, if your child is young and using something like iPads or your phone or whatever, shouldn't you have a bit of control or like just the smallest bit be curious about what your child is watching? Because I know some people they'll put their kids and they'll watch YouTube Kids. Fine, there's no ads, nothing scary for them. With something like Twitch, I feel like because it is live, like they can't control too much, and even with mods, it's like they don't know how old you are either.
And and plus, there's there's so much stuff that could happen in so many ways that people get views. Like, no bashing these kinds of streamers, but people who stream with their chest showing, like not fully
Mhm.
showing, but like if I had a kid and he was going onto Twitch to watch stuff, I don't think I would want my kid to be exposed to that type of stuff
Yeah, I
when he's a
agree.
kid. And then there's types of streamers like me who have no goddamn filter.
Yeah. And I'm thinking like, okay, the only way that these kids are finding about things like Twitch or whatever, they hear it from other kids that are older than them, or they're watching people on YouTube and then they click on the links that are on there. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because of course you want to promote other channels or things that you're doing. But with parents, you can't say that technology is bad or that you don't understand it when your child can figure it out and they could easily teach you how to use it. But if they're young and they know more than you do on technology, that's a little alarming. Like, it doesn't hurt and it's not hard to create those accounts just to see what they're watching, or you can watch with them. I don't know if the kid would be offended by that, depending on their age, but you can be a little nosy, I feel like.
If if my kid gets offended because I want to watch a person play Fortnite, oh well, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one game. Things like Fortnite, my younger cousin who's 8 years old, he doesn't know how to play, nor is he really allowed to, but he knows everything on Fortnite. I would ask him, like, he knows it for like the funny dances that you can do on there. That's a trend for elementary kids apparently now, where they're doing like covers or challenges doing those dances. But the actual game, I'm like, oh, do you know how to play? Thankfully, he does not. He only knows because of his older brother. But then again, it's like those kinds of games, the kids will either know it for the funny stuff or they'll know it because they can play the game.
And with Fortnite, that can lead to games like Call of Duty, where it's not so cartoony, and
Exactly.
and people are getting their arms blown off.
A safe game for kids that, I mean, there's very, very mild violence, but not much.
Cooking Mama,
I was gonna say Minecraft.
or that.
Well, no, okay, there's a version of Cooking Mama that I remember playing on the internet where it's Mama Goes Crazy or
Oh
Wild
yeah.
or something. Do
Oh
you remember
boy.
that one? They
Oh
shouldn't
yeah.
play. I remember playing that at 9, and I'm like, oh, this is cute. I'm like, well, why is she mad? I feel like,
That
ooh.
that is Cooking Mama in 2020.
Which again, like thinking back at that age, I maybe should not have been playing that, but not blame my parents. Maybe they could have seen and have like watched and said like, oh, that's not a good thing to watch. They ask why. Just be like, it's not a good thing or like blah 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 whatever reason. If you just say like, oh, you can't watch that, the kid's gonna want to know why. And if you say no, like any rebellious child, oh, mom said I can't, which means I have to or I can do it, but in secret.
God
No,
God gave us the ability to talk for a reason.
use your words.
I
uh,
I can't say shit about not playing games at a certain age because the games I started to play, maybe it's because I'm a guy, I don't know, but the games I started to play was like Grand Theft Auto and all the main games for a guy. But I think what balanced it out is good parenting.
that's true. Like I'm thinking to the very first video game I vividly remember going over to like a family friend's house when they would babysit us. we would be playing like on their GameCube, and we were playing something like Mario Party or Mario Kart. And then when those cousins were busy or doing something else like homework, I would watch my older cousin, who's a guy, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to come play?" Or like, I'll just sit there and watch him play. He didn't care. I started playing something like Street Fighter or Tekken, which probably as a young child you should not be playing or be watching. But I was just fascinated, not that there's violence or anything. I'm just like, whoa, that's so cool because of all the like colors and everything.
Yeah,
And I kind of really like playing it. To this day, I'm like, why did I play this as a kid? But it's also a nostalgia thing.
I
You have like different influences,
I think
like people playing
yeah,
those games.
I think that's one thing that attracts kids to games. It's not like there's violence or they think a character's cute. Maybe it's that it's the colors,
The colors and the flashing lights.
especially for Street Fighter because all those moves have flashing lights and colors.
Yep. And that's a reason why there's I feel like a lot of kids wearing glasses that are a lot younger, or I know now they're selling like blue light glasses because kids are watching, or just anyone in general is staring at their screens more than ever now.
That would be
And
so useful. That would be so useful.
Amazon. Get it on Amazon.
Uh,
This is not sponsored, but on Amazon, there's a pair that I got with my sister. You can get, I think it's two pairs for 25 bucks, which aren't bad. And they're helpful, but it's like that wouldn't be a thing if people weren't using their devices day in and day out.
one game that I'm terrified if I have a kid for them to play is current Mortal Kombat.
Ooh, yeah. It didn't used
I
to be like that.
no, like I played the second one as a small kid, and thinking back to how it was then to how it is now, I basically got an anatomy class playing the latest one.
Yeah, because the graphics became pretty detailed. Before it was just like, okay, if you kill a character, you see that small little splat of blood. But yeah, I've seen the new one where I'm like, yeah, you're gonna get a little early biology thing right now because things happen or come out. So to say.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say this. Please, for the love of anyone who plays that game, do not be like my friend who started playing that game when he was 7.
Yeah, but again, it comes back to like who you have around you in your life, and, like will teach you those games. Like I wouldn't have known a game like Tekken if my family friend wasn't playing it, or I wouldn't know anything like wrestling and pretend fighting slash play wrestling with my guy friend
Yeah,
if he wasn't watching wrestling. And where did he start watching that from? From his dad. So yeah, there's a lot of weird things that we learn as a kid, and things that later on we're like, oh, I remember playing that. Looking back, it's like probably shouldn't have.
I know one show that I'm not going to let my future kids watch. Law and Order SVU.
What? Wait a second. Like
I'm saying that because I'm talking from experience.
you
I'm talking
watched
from
that much older or when you were younger?
younger.
You have a very broad library of
I
things that you've seen.
okay. I watched. I've seen the first Child's Play film when I like that's one of my earliest memories is seeing Child's Play. Come to think of it, I think that instilled the fear of that I have for dolls.
You
That
said dolls. I'm like, are you talking about like all of the movies that are
okay,
kind of like that? Speaking of
just
the one popular horror doll, Chucky.
just like I guess um porcelain dolls or
Mm,
any dolls that have like moving limbs.
That would be majority of dolls, I think.
Yeah,
But yeah, porcelain dolls are just they're just creepy.
they
Why
should
do
be.
we fascinate over them?
They,
I don't know.
they should go extinct. They should go extinct.
But I think just with items like that, they can be considered as antiques, but it's like, why do they cost so much for something that you look at horror movies, they could come back or inhibit a spirit that could potentially come to kill you.
That and um,
Excuse me.
bless you.
I don't
That
have
and
corona, I swear.
that and stuff stuffed animals that are as big as me. No,
Speaking on that, Valentine's Day is coming out, and I see those big, gigantic stuffed animals everywhere. Which
I
nothing wrong with those big bears, but it's like you give it to someone, the recipient. What are you going to do with that, or where will you put that?
I I only say no to those because as a kid, I had a stuffed tiger. I was sleeping. It was behind me. That thing wrapped its arm around me. I did everything but fly down because I had a bunk bed. I did everything but fly down onto the second bunk and was like, no, no. Because, like, what do you do as a kid when a thing that's not supposed to move moves?
I'm just concerned that it was moving around. That's scary. I think as a kid, the equivalent I had to that, um, at some carnival thing, one of my parents won like this giant Nemo thing. And I
Oh,
remember sleeping with it in my bed. A tiger's not bad because at least it can like cuddle you or you can cuddle it. Giant Nemo. I was 7 years old. It was my size. I was like, I would just keep it right there so it feels like someone's there, but it's also creepy that like can I like see it eye to eye? You can't cuddle a fish like you can cuddle a stuffed tiger. So I would trade you in that place.
just if you think your house is haunted, don't have any dolls or toys.
Yeah, I would say that, but like, okay, imagine you think your house is haunted, but you have a child and they have such stuffed animals or toys.
Blessed.
Because I'm thinking like Toy Story. If you think about it, those toys come to life when Andy's not at home.
I'm starting to think
So sorry if anyone loves that movie. I love it too, but
after seeing what's that film? After seeing Sausage Party, that was a fun film. After seeing Sausage Party,
um,
I'm starting to think that like instead of there being possessed, which it did before, I think that it's just like a different dimension. I swear I'm not on crack.
that's another level of animated thing. Well, inanimate objects that are animated to be like people.
But yes, Toy Story is a fun film.
It is a fun film, but I don't know. Like just thinking about that concept, yes, it's cute. But at the same time, it's like those things come to life, which in reality could possibly mean that they are haunted, so to say, because yeah, like the
I
spirit is in them that causes them to come alive.
I will never get tired of the first film when it scared the shit out of the bully. I will never get tired of that.
Oh yeah, that was a good scene. Pixar movies are they're good for stuff like that.
The only before I say this, the Lion King was not Pixar, right?
No, no, it
Good.
wasn't.
So I can say this: the only Pixar film that made me cry was um, Wally.
Oh, see, okay. Since we're going into something a little more happier, Wally is the one Pixar film I feel like it's so underrated that people do not appreciate it. Now, I love Ratatouille, and there's been lots of new things with Ratatouille, but Wally,
And
there's Up, which is good, but still, like the little robot.
plus, just think about it. It's a hard of a concept to grasp because we to the point where we're spacefaring. Earth is shit.
Yeah.
Earth is going to shit.
Yep. And maybe in the future, there's a little Wally just somewhere out in space, compacting all of our trash into cute little cubes.
the the thing that Wally did was make me like roaches because when I first saw it, I was in a apartment that was roach infested as hell. Like it was a type of building where it was multiple apartments in one building. Like
Uh-huh.
it was stacked, so
Yeah.
we got a heat treatment done in mine, where they put a thing in your apartment and it heats up to I think 400 degrees. So like hot enough to cook a pizza,
Mhm.
and the roaches were gone, or so we thought. They went to the other apartments.
Oh no.
Once it cooled down, they came back.
Yep.
So, oh, in that apartment, we also had bed bugs. That was fun. You don't know bad sleep until you wake up and it looks like you were laying in a sarcophagus of poison ivy.
Ooh, no, no. Just even if I see a small little ant in my house, I start freaking out. I'm like, where and how did you get in my house?
Well, at least if you ever get bed bugs, I know exactly how to get rid of them.
I feel like if it's bed bugs, just call your city officials or try to contact an exterminator. And wherever you find them, especially if it's in your bed or wherever, get rid of the item.
If
I don't
you
care what's in there or how old, get
if
rid
you
of it.
if you think you have them, like the seam on the edge of your bed.
Yeah,
If you check that and you see one, if you see one, there's a ton.
yeah.
Just
Like that's one of many.
throw out your bed, put your clothes in a trash bag and put them in a closet and just leave them there.
Mhm.
And I don't know if they do this in Canada, but if you get a heat treatment done, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm sorry because it gets hot.
Yeah, no, I've heard that being used, and I think not from personal experience, but I've heard in some cases that helps, but it's like they will spread unless you kill them or wherever the infestation started. But because you're talking about cockroaches, where I used to work, we were a cooking studio, so like there's two other restaurants side by side to us. When I first worked there, I thought that my friend was joking that like, oh, you might see like tiny little cockroaches here and there. I'm teaching a class, and they say like, oh, what's that? I look over, I see something crawling. I'm like, what? Why now? They were tiny, but still, I was just like, I thought they were joking. And then when we get someone to come over, and they like do a little, just like a little heat spray,
Mm-hmm.
just everywhere. I'm like, I need to remain calm because I need to be professional when they leave and they put new traps. By the time they leave and they're out of way, that's when I screamed in the back. I'm like, why?
See, when
This
I
is thing. I hate him.
when I worked uh at my Goodwill job, and knows all the history I have with that job, all I have to say is $9 an hour. No, but the only thing I found there that was like that's not supposed to be there was a donation we got. We found some weed. I kid you not. My manager pulled bag out, smelled it. It was like, whoa, because it has that distinct smell. It has
Yeah,
a distinct smell.
I'm just wondering, like, whoever donated that, like, usually you would always check the pockets, even if you put stuff in the laundry.
The
I
the
wonder if they were maybe wondering where that went.
the the, the usual stuff we would find in donations is like receipts and bags, just like that, like trash or the occasional like coin. That was a first. That was a first.
You remember what item that was in? Like a jacket or a bag?
Jeans, jeans.
Who keeps weed just in their jean pocket?
I don't know. I don't know.
Walking around, it's like, oh, I haven't worn these in a while. Let me just donate it. Don't
They
talk.
the worst things to get is sheets and blankets.
Ooh, see, even when I like would donate stuff, I get very cautious about donating that stuff because one might not be accepted everywhere. Two, um, some bed
People
sheets should just be thrown out.
people would not wash them. It was covered in like hair, dog hair, cat hair, and some of the employees will be allergic to dog hair or cat hair. So the people who were stationed in that section in the bag,
Mm.
and even me, I'm allergic to dog hair and cat hair. So, but when I would walk back and get like the sinuses, the sneezing, I'm like, because like that hits you like a punch in the face from Mike Tyson.
Mm.
So, but I would get it. I'm like, wash your damn sheets.
Like for blankets, I can kind of understand, but for something like white bed sheets, like most people would go to a thrift store on Halloween and buy some random white bed sheet. Why? And I don't understand what. Like, I get the convenience of it, but for the person donating, if they're white, you really want to donate them because
They
who knows how long ago you last used them.
they we also had rugs, and those rugs weren't dirty or anything. They were just a pain to get down because they were like the long ones,
Oh,
and it was on a rack and stuff. You don't know hell until you have a bad knee, and a customer asks you to help them get it down. I'm I'm like because like you have to be professional,
mm,
so you're like okay sure, but up here you're like God damn, just leave me alone. I can't walk.
yeah. Like, I think there was something that I read before where, like, for any employees, let's say, and like the customer asks you to do something, and you as the employee, you can say no if you don't feel comfortable or if someone makes you uncomfortable in any situation. And I think in this case, the manager was saying to the employee that, like, oh, you have to do it because the customer is always right. I
That
think to
is
go with that.
that is bullshit. First and foremost, that's bullshit. I I had a customer come in who lost her keys, and I had to stock shelves, which already was paying. I had to stock shelves, help a customer find her keys,
Okay.
and well, I say help. I did not help in the slightest because I did not care,
That's not your problem.
and so I had one person telling me to stock the shelves, which I was doing. The customer telling me if I found her keys, I would say no, but I'll keep looking. And I had another manager telling me to help find her keys, and I'm like, I wish a light would just fall on me.
With small little things like that, like, okay, I'll help, but at the same time, it's like, that's not really my job. That's a you responsibility. But I'll
And
pretend to help you just to make you feel at ease.
it it and ended with it was it turning out that her kid had a key, like had the keys, and I'm like, you scavenged all the shelves I just stocked in order for your kid to have the keys.
I mean, she could have asked first before going into a full freak out, but at
And
the same time, I don't think they would have thought that far.
when I say that the order was too strict, I mean the order was too strict. Like they would change how the items had to be arranged every other day
Well, that's a pain to
to
do.
to the point where the order of the clothes, like where the racks were, would change.
Yeah.
And when a customer asks me where the child's clothes are, I'm like, where are they?
Like I let me just double check. It's like which part of it is it? Because that's a lot if you routinely always have to change where it is. Because yeah, coming in as a customer, if I go to a grocery store, I know exactly where the dairy section is. If there was to move that over, it wouldn't make sense, but it's very confusing. For something like a retail, that's a hassle you have to do.
Yeah, the worst thing I think to stock is paintings because you'll be surprised how fast you have to run out of space for paintings. You would be surprised.
I can imagine with how big some old paintings are that people would donate. Those take up quite a bit of space.
Anyone who works in retail, I feel you. I am sorry. That is hell.
Uh, It reminds me of when the one time I worked in a fast food place. I remember it was still fairly new and it was a pretty humid summer day. This guy comes in and I had just like given him the order. He sits down and I guess like, there's people behind cooking on a grill. And you know, like when you have to cook on a grill, you're using like I was gonna say flippers, and I almost flipped something in front of me. It's not on you this time, Berto. That was on me. But anyways, they were using the flippers to like flip things over because they're cooking. And then there's this guy that's eating his food, and he's like, "Hey, can you stop doing that? Or like, can you please like not do that so loud?" And it's me being the one that's closest to him at the cash. I'm like, um, I'm sorry that it's bothering you. I'll try to let them know. And he's like, "Hey, it's not your problem. I'm not telling you. I'm telling the people over there."
I wish
So
a I wish a puto would.
So me being the type of person that like I don't want to get into an argument, I try my best not to. But the way that the guy was saying was so passive aggressive, and even my coworkers were saying, "So sorry for the noise, but it's hard to prevent that because this is like it makes noise. You can't really do it quietly. And he's like, yes, you can. Like, I'm trying to enjoy my food. I thought this is supposed to be like a convenient place. Like, this is ruining my customer experience. No one else was complaining. It's just you, buddy. So me almost getting on the edge of my seat where I'm like, it was already really, really hot. And he started complaining about the heat and how there's no fan. I told him I'm sorry. Like it's something that like we're working on. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. It's like not necessarily saying sorry, trying to make this guy calm down. He did not calm down. And the fact that my manager had to come up, pull me over to the side, is like, hey, I know you're sounding angry and like you want to get mad at him, but try not to. If you need, just like stay at the back and I'll handle him. Like don't try to get in any argument. Like you don't want to cause any like commotion with the customer. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll stay in the back for now until I'm level-headed. With the fact that they said, like, a few weeks prior to this, that they would fix the issue with the heat, they did not. And it took someone like me to have a customer complain to me about something that was out of my control that's supposed to be your job. Um, like, who are you siding with? The customer who's only there probably once and most likely will never come back, or someone that is carrying out your business.
I I think we
Working for you.
I think we both know the answer to that. They're siding with the side of money.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah, that
to
is a big egghead.
to end this episode, I'm going to tell a story that I happened at Goodwill. That if I tell anybody, they will ask how we did not throw this person out onto her face. So it was like my first week there. I had just sprained my knee, so I was at the jewelry counter helping out there. We had this lady come in, brought her dog, which is fine if it's a service dog or some kind of special needs dog.
Mm.
It was not, and the dog was big. Like it could reach up to my desk if it stood on its hind legs.
Mm.
And since it was getting close to the time when kids would be off from school, come into the store, but we're like, okay, this is a safety issue. So we kind of kept our eyes on her. Then she lets the dog off leash,
Okay, that's
and
on the
and
customer.
and I'm me being a big dog guy. I'm I'm conflicted because I want to go and say hi, but at the same time, we can't have the dog off leash in the goddamn store. And so we tell her like 3 or 4 times, like, hey, you can have your dog in here if he's on leash.
Yeah.
So after the third or fourth time, she puts the dog on. She puts the dog in the cart. There's only one issue: no padding, straight bar.
Yeah, that's not safe for the animal. What is
And so,
wrong with the kitty?
and so me, I'm I'm getting close to my limit because it was close to my time to just clock out and leave. So I'm like, oh boy. Then she starts piling on clothes on top of the dog, and I'm more and more getting to the point of just saying, like, just leave. So she gets to my um, she gets to the cashier that I'm helping out at the jewelry counter, and I'm like, time to act, because I don't like you.
And that's one thing. Like you always have to put a face so you give the good customer experience. But it's
Yeah,
also like you can only fake it so much.
yeah, and it's especially hard to fake it when you've been standing for 8 hours on a bad knee.
Mm.
So it's like you have to act. So I'm like helping bag. This girl had the most scampiest clothes I've ever seen.
But there's nothing wrong with that in most cases. But I'm guessing this case, the
She looked like she was like she knows the corners. So I'm bagging and judging inside my head. Guess how much the total was?
300.
400 at a thrift store. A thrift store.
What is? Okay, I'm not gonna judge that because okay, if they're really good designer, fine. Okay, that's good. But what was in her bags that cost 400 plus?
I I don't even know, but I'm getting to like the parts where everybody is like, was she high? Because when it got time to pay and the amount of bags, the aisle was like this wide,
Mm.
so I could not move. I was stuck. When it got time to bag, I mean to pay, she handed us a card and we're like, okay, cool. It was a gift card for a grocery store. The amount of frustration I felt because I bagged for half an hour. So once we're like, hey, we can't take this, like, one, we don't do gift cards. Two, we can't accept this card. Three, fuck you.
Like it's one thing to okay, buy however much you want, but if you have the money or any form of payment to pay for such items.
Yeah.
Second of all, why is that gift card a thing that you thought like, oh, I have money, but I don't really care what it's for when clearly on the front, if you read it, it says it's for a grocery store. Things like that do not transfer over unless it's a Visa gift card. Okay, but for grocery store, it does not apply to your thrift store items, especially if it's closed.
No, and
So also $400 at a thrift store. I would like to know what she's buying. Unless they're really good finds and like she plans on like
those
doing whatever kind of DIY on them, or she found designer brands,
those
whatever. No, that's
those those clothes
no.
those clothes you can find at Ross for like
For $400 worth? How good were those? I don't know. I'm not a thrifter, but
not
I'm
that
just
good.
thinking most people won't
Not that
spend
good.
more than like $50 at a thrift store.
Like and so I just am going back and forth on how she was going to pay for this. I will never forget this. A guy came in, told us not to take any card that she gives us. Him and the customer goes back and forth. He calls her a dumb bee, and so I'm like, ooh, tea. Like there's some tea there,
Mhm.
and so it ends with her not paying for it, us having to rehang the stuff.
That's a lot of inventory you got to return back into the store.
When I say that I came close to quitting on that day, I'm not joking.
Because that lady wasted your time and like if you go into a store, whether or not you're just looking around for something and you grab something, you should at least have something on you if you plan on paying for something or not, because chances are you're gonna buy something.
The thing that we always said at that store is you can come in with nothing, but you're going to leave with something.
Yeah, that happens with anywhere that you go into.
But once all of that was done, I just looked at my um, at one of my coworkers who was Hispanic. I just started roasting her in Spanish. Oh, and there's the Wi-Fi issues again.
I think there's um
There we go.
oh, okay. I was like, is that on my end or is that on your end? Not another podcast unless there's someone
Yeah.
accidentally spelling something or connection issues. But continue with your story about crazy $400 fertility.
Yeah. So once all of that was done and she left, I before I clocked out and left, I went to one of my coworkers who was Hispanic, and I decided to roast her in Spanish.
Like saying,
Like, why the hell did this bitch just waste my time for close to an hour? So once I clocked out, I went to the dollar store that was like right next to it. Got two Red Bulls. Mind you, this was
what?
at like close to 5 p.m. Got two Red Bulls, and while I waited for my Uber, just chugging them both. If I
I mean, if you wanted to throw coffee in that mess also, why not? That's a whole trip in
girl, if
I
I
would
had if I had access to um Vietnamese coffee, pour it all in, mix it up. Hello, heart attack.
feel like in sucky situations like that, anything that can like give you the slightest boost of energy will help.
I I will. I was saying to, to myself the entire time I was drinking my drinks. Why do we have to toss that weed?
Actually, wait, going back on that, was it even like good still? Or
It was
I
potent.
wouldn't know personally, but
It was potent. It was potent.
okay, so it's still pretty new. Yeah.
So yeah, we just called the cops and they dealt with it.
Because I can imagine like if someone knows about that and they saw that, what they could do with that or possibly sell it, do something else, and yeah, but good on your coworkers and I guess the management there that they called the cops on it,
Yeah,
but it's kind of hard to trace that. Also, to anyone who wants to buy anything of that amount, especially right now while we're in the middle of a perpendicular predicament, maybe think before you go shopping. Like it's very tempting to spend, but if you're going in and you don't have this on hand, maybe don't go outside or go to the store.
yeah, and I'm speaking from a person who like I was speaking for all the um, clerks and baggers. We will hate you. We will hate you.
I would just be nice to people, like people that are working there. Yes, they chose to work there, but they did not choose to work there for you to have an attitude towards them. Be nice.
Yeah.
Please, please, please be nice to anyone working.
Well,
Especially now.
I'm going to end this here. Thank you, Anne, for joining again.
No problem. I think maybe if there's more information, if you guys want to follow with us, I think on Twitter the new hashtag or another hashtag for the Jung In thing is
Oh God. Oh God. Oh boy. Okay. I'm definitely going to end end this before I get a complete
yeah.
kill.
But yeah, follow hashtag justice for Jung In. Keep up with us. Don't be a pendejo. Be nice to everybody, please. Be nice.
Bye.
Adios.